and I will lead you through our presentation on what we're looking to do today, which is all around infrastructure monitoring and automation in action. So looking to how you can enhance and improve the monitoring and capabilities got by using automation and monitoring in partnership to actually remove some of those manual tasks and issues that you have today and actually make the whole monitoring system a little bit easier and quicker, which is rather pertinent on a day like today. So what we're going to be looking at is how you can use the monitoring capabilities that we've got to expand the monitoring horizons around the System Center suite, and then how we can use automation and the monitoring together to provide what we call closed loop event management. And that is ultimately been able to integrate the monitoring and the service desk together as a system, single system, and then how we drive and automate the diagnostics and automated remediation of functions and tasks. So that's what we're going to look at today. So I'll give you a little background just to give you an idea. If you're not come across us, as Greg said, NiCE is one of the newest sponsors for this partner. So NiCE has been around since 91, and they specialize in monitoring and services around the operations manager, SCOM MI, and Azure monitoring capabilities. They've got global customer reach. They are headquartered in Germany with operations in the US and EMEA, with multiple technical partners. And over the years, they have produced multiple integration packs for Operations Manager, extending the reach that Microsoft provided into other products that are not there around some of the database stuffs of IBM DB2 and MongoDB, and then they have a VMware integration system for managing that infrastructure, which you'll see some of the alerts that come out of that as part of the demo, and Microsoft 365 live monitoring, so you can actually see what is happening with your 365 estate in real time through your operations management interface. So they provide all the monitoring expertise over the years all around Operations Manager and that capability. And Kelvirian have been around since 2010. If any of you have been using System Center Orchestrator, you probably will have come across me at some point. I was for a while working for Microsoft, supporting the acquisition team in Seattle when they bought a product called Apalis, which is now System Center Orchestrator. And I've been heavily involved in Orchestrator ever since. So I'm into my 14th year of using Orchestrator. And we are Kelvirian automation experts around System Center Orchestrator, Azure Automation, Power Automate, and Logic Apps. We have global reach around the world. We've got customers all over, as you can gather from my accent. I'm based in London, but we have operations in the US and EMEA, and multiple customers all around the world. I'm waiting for Hawaii, and then I could do a complete loop from Sydney to Seattle and all points in between. So that's how we're with Kelvirian, and we have been producing integration packs for Orchestrator to extend the reach out into other tools, particularly around some of the cloud capabilities and the service desks, so that you can integrate your monitoring and service desk together in that automated process, which is what we're going to be looking at in this session today. So what we're looking at from the monitoring is System Center Operations Manager, well-established platform on-premise for managing capabilities. What NiCE have been able to add in is to be able to extend the capabilities of the Microsoft-provided management packs to other systems and platforms, so that you can actually make Operations Manager your single pane of glass for your monitoring capabilities. And then what we've brought with the automation partnership with Kelvirian is to extend that capability, so we can now actually start actioning those alerts in a real-time manner. And to do that, what we need to do is to be able to integrate Operations Manager with other tools in the infrastructure. And ultimately what we have is we're using in pure systems Operations Manager on-premise instances, we use the component called System Center Orchestrator. That's another part of the System Center suite. And there are integrations in Orchestrator to tie in directly into Operations Manager to pick up alerts and interact with those Operations Manager alerts. And then we have integrations from Kelvirion that tie into other service desk products so that we can actually integrate Operations Manager directly into the service desk from a ticket creation, management, and update and remediation type functions. And then we can use Orchestrator to tie into the infrastructure to do fixes and repairs. So that's how we're tying into those components. System Center Orchestrator is part of that suite from Microsoft, and then we're providing connections and integrations to actually manage and extend those capabilities from the platform. So as I say, Orchestrator is part of the System Center suite, and probably for a lot of people, it's the piece that is least well known from within the System Center environment. Automation is probably Microsoft's best kept secret. Most of their own employees are not really sure that it exists, but it's there today and has been around for many years to help you build and automate processes. So what you've got your infrastructure. As you all know, we have Operations Manager for managing those alerts and capabilities. You have got System Center Endpoint Manager or Configuration Manager for those who have been around for a while for patching and deployment. Virtual Machine Manager for VM provisioning and management. And then obviously anything in System Center, we've got Active Directory to provide that usability and access and groups and permissions. And what Microsoft needed was a tool that would allow them to actually integrate their other platforms and systems. They had their own service desk, System Center Service Manager for those who might have used it, but they needed a tool that would integrate Service Desk, Service Manager into the rest of the environments, and then be able to automate that capability, which is where they put System Center Orchestrator in that mix. So it's an integration and automation engine that allows us to integrate the System Center tools and pass data between them and actually ask them to execute tasks as part of an automated workflow. And then what Kelvirion have been able to do over the years is extend that platform out to integrate to other systems and tools so they all become part of the System Center infrastructure and component, all working together as a harmonious suite of tools in an automated process. And one of the challenges for people is if you want to look at automation, when we start extending beyond diagnostics and remediation, you might want to start offering self-service requests. Like, I would like to provision a virtual machine. I want to give users access to a new team site or a share or something like that. So you need a self-service portal. That was traditionally in your service desk. The challenge for lots of people is the service desks take a long time to get developed and delivered, or they might not have the resources. So we've also got capability for a lightweight self-service automation portal that you can use to pull in automation components and drive out requests. So people can go into a simple self-service front end where they can see a set of requests that they can submit that will be automatically fulfilled by the System Center tools and capabilities. And the way as we can see, we have multiple integrations from the Kelvirion suite to allow us to tie in and integrate to those other tools and capabilities in the infrastructure, multiple service desks, monitoring tools. So it's not just limited to System Center. So if your primary platform is System Center Operations Manager, and then you have some outlying units like network infrastructure or possibly some Linux infrastructure that's being managed by things like SolarWinds or Nagios XI or similar systems, then we can also pull those sort of alerts in, and even integrate them into Operations Manager so you can have a single view of all of your alerts within your event monitoring system from other infrastructure or management packs that allow us to extend those capabilities out so you can have all of it natively monitored within the Operations Manager estate. So Orchestrator has been around for a while. There was a release back in 2022. So for those of you familiar with Orchestrator, there was a new release in 2022, which added some very new functionality into Orchestrator Spate. It extended that out to now become a 64-bit application, like the rest of the System Center suite. It had until now been a 32-bit application, which caused challenges with security postures and PowerShell and other things where many of the integrations and SDKs that you're tying into have all moved to 64-bit. So Orchestrator 2022 has got a full 64-bit application. They've improved a lot of the security posture, and they built a new web console and web service. And a number of you may well have seen the announcements from Microsoft to say there will be a System Center 2025 release coming later this year. And Orchestrator will be part of that component. So obviously, Operations Manager and VMM have got a number of major updates that are coming as part of that release, and Orchestrator is also included in there. So it will be around with the whole suite to deliver these automation frameworks and capabilities around the monitoring and automation and action for many years to come. And what we're looking for in this automated process is what we call closed loop event management. So traditionally today, what happens is you get an alert in Operations Manager, you'll pick that up and you may well go and manually create an incident ticket in a service desk. You'll then go and work that ticket in the service desk. And then when you've fixed it, you'll go back into Operations Manager and you might well close out the alert or do some monitoring like that. But it's all manual ticket creation and remediation and activities. There are some capabilities for people with point connectors that are creating incident tickets, but they don't do a lot of end user or diagnostics. And we're looking to try and tie these. We're using the automation to tie all of this together. So what we've got is the Operations Manager monitoring your automation, your infrastructure and estate. We've got System Center Orchestrator tying into Operations Manager for alerts and monitoring. It then has a set of rules that you can build into the capability for saying, for a given alert, which team in the service desk should we assign this incident ticket to? And what it will do is it will go away and create an incident ticket in your service desk using one of the appropriate integration packs. And then we set the ticket priority and assigns that ticket directly to the support team based on the rules that you've defined. And we then return an incident ticket number back to the Operations Manager. So if you're in the Operations Manager console, you can see a ticket's been raised, what the ticket number is. So you've got a track in your system. Then you have a human who's working on that capability and looking at that ticket for resolution. They do a fix. Operations Manager would hopefully detect the fact that that fix has been returned. We can monitor Operations Manager for closed alerts. And when we pick up that closed alert, what we can then do is go back and associate that ticket, that alert in SCOM with the ticket that got raised in your service desk, and we can mark that incident ticket's resolved. So that's what we call about that closed loop event management is alert comes in, we manage it through to ticket creation. When somebody resolves it, then we can pick that up and make sure that Operations Manager and your service desk are in step with the ticket creation and monitoring. But in that process, that's a human being resolving that issue and capability. We can also run this in a fully automated capability with diagnostics and remediation. So we can pick up, same as we did before, pick up the SCOM is monitoring the estate for alerts and capabilities. We can monitor again for those alerts. We look at the rules for which teams and the processes we should allocate a ticket. So exactly the same as before, we create the incident ticket and return that ticket number back to operations manager. But at this point, we can then start using the rules that you've defined to look at which remediation activities would you like it to be. So if it's a virtual machine failure, so the virtual machine is not running, you could have a remediation where automation turns the virtual machine back on again. So if there's been a temporary outage or something, we can automatically reboot it. Or maybe a web service has gone down, we can automate the restart of a web service application. So Orchestrator will find and run the diagnostics. So before we create the remediation, there are some known diagnostic steps that you want to run to validate something's happened. We can run all of those diagnostic steps automatically within the automation and update the incident ticket with the results of those diagnostic steps. Then we can run the remediation tasks to fix the issue, and again, update the incident ticket with the remediation. Because it's been fixed, SCOM will detect that, and we'll then pick up that alert that's been closed, and we can go back into the service desk and actually mark that incident ticket as completely closed as an end-to-end automated process. So,
hi, Greg. Hello, this is Christian.
Hey, Christian. You made it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So
that's okay.
Just in time for the demo, I guess. So
absolutely, yes. Just in time for the demo. So it will be perfect timing because then you can drive all of the alerting and monitoring components, and I can show the automation.
Great. So yes, hello everyone. So and apologies for the delay in my side. So I will basically just going to head and share my screen and talk a bit about the management packs and the operations manager and the first part basically of the automation. So I'm just going to get ready to share my screen here. So, all right. Just some quick feedback if the screen is visible.
Yep, looks good.
Okay, good. Thank you. So, all right. So I guess most are familiar with the System Center Operations environment, and we do provide like the management pack for VMware monitoring in here. So and basically after it's been imported, it adds the VMware monitoring on the left side here, and it's does a discovery like as every management pack does. It does discover the VMware hosts, the vCenter, data stores, data centers, and obviously it also discovers the virtual machines. So on this environment, we have a number of 76 virtual machines on here, and the use case runs as it follows that we have a couple of virtual machines that need to be run. So these, this is basically the important part. So these need to be up and running. And if one of these virtual machines are stopped, then we automatically basically need to restart them through an automation workflow. For that, I basically create in SCOM a group. So I just call that the VMs that need to be running basically, and in that group I basically put some of the machines of the virtual machines in here. So we have like these core systems 101 to 105, and so when I have them all in here, I will just go now to the system, to the virtual center. And this is some of you that are working with VMware might be familiar to these vSphere clients. So this is where we have them basically running. They're running actually in a cluster. So in case of them one is stopped and or it has a problem, it can be restarted on the other cluster node. But in this case, I actually will provide a hard stop in here, basically pulling the plug on this one. Say yes, it basically, well, stops it entirely, so and will not restart it on the other side. So that switches it off. Yeah, similar to like a blue screen or something. If something happens to the system, it really goes down. So that is basically the case which happened now. And the idea is that we get an alert of that. So I'm going to go back here and yes. So I will just go up and look at the same time at the alerts that are coming in here. So we have a couple of other alerts that are coming in here. For example, the cluster has little free space in here. Also, we alert on a number of vMotion that are coming in here. These is basically VMware monitoring. Besides the VMware monitoring, I'll quickly recap on the management packs that we provide, which is really around databases like Oracle and some services like Active 365 from Microsoft, so M365 monitoring, Entra ID monitoring. We provide a separate management pack. Plus, we also have a new management pack that we're providing for NetApp monitoring. So, so I'm just waiting for the alert to come in. While we wait, I also will introduce a second problem on this. So we have a little use case also on the IIS systems. So I will also go and open the IIS system. Okay. I'm just logging into that Windows server. That's basically a system which hosts a couple of websites on this. So and logging into it, and they will also shut down basically the web server on that. Let's me come in. All right. So I'll just going to stop the entire server here and also cause that problem to come in. So let me just go and see on the virtual center side. For some reason, it was already powered on again. Greg, did you see something? Was it just quick? Did I miss it?
I think it was that quick.
Was it? So,
yes.
Wow. Okay, let's quickly see if we've got a closed alert on this here. So at least we should have one on that then. So it should be critical alert that came in. So I see the powered off state, but it was so quick. So let me just redo this and switch one of the other ones off, this one here, and power this one also off. Yes. I just want to see it being off here. So yeah, it's still working in progress to power it off. So while we're waiting, we'll check on the other side if we have an active alert on the IIS part. And yet. Okay, I got it like 1 minute ago. Like that the web server is basically unavailable. So receive that alert in here, and we already see a ticket ID. So I will ask Greg, did you see that coming in on your side?
Yes, I did. So, yep, I have seen the ticket ID appear. So we have a database sitting alongside the automation, so we can track all of the alerts that come in and the statuses that have been processed. So I can see that the web service was unavailable. That dropped in Very quickly, we've raised an incident ticket in ServiceNow ending 901, which has been passed back to operations manager, and Christian will be able to show you where that appeared in the alerts to show that we've actually created that in the system, and I can see that the automation has actually run the remediation to restart the web service.
And I actually see here that's already restarted. So it basically went back to start, and without me doing anything on the IIS side. So let's quickly go back on the VMware side again. See if we have that alert, but it doesn't really want to stop here. So let me just try to stop this again. I'm powering off like 2 of these systems now. Okay, so this one is definitely off now. So the 103 is off. We also have in the VMware management pack where we actually discover the virtual machines. Can verify this basically through some task. So that's 103, which is off. So we have actually here on the right side in the task pane the option to also power off virtual machines or power on virtual machines, and we can query those virtual machines as well. So I just run this task to understand the information. We see power state is basically off. This is basically executed in real time to obtain the status of the virtual machine. So and now already we see it went to critical. That's basically what I expect. So it changed the critical state. And if we look here into the Health Explorer, we see actually here that it's the virtual machine that should be powered on is powered off, which is not a desired state.
Nope.
And we should have an alert for that.
You have, yep. And I've just seen the alert arrive at the automation end.
Okay.
And we've just created a new ticket, 902. And
okay, let me just see, because it might be quick again.
it's so at the moment it's just updating. So I don't think I haven't seen that. We've just pushed the state back to operations manager.
Yeah, 902. I see actually here in the alert. So I updated the ticket ID. So I have that in here.
Yep.
So basically, what I would expect now is basically that the virtual machine will be powered on again.
Yes, absolutely. The automation is just triggered for the restart of the virtual machine.
Okay, here we go. The virtual machine is basically back up and running. So I'll just double check and verify this coming from here. I can go on the task again, which I can run, and it's connected. We have a snapshot. Just run this virtual machine information. Yeah, it's still in the update process. Just waiting, and it should close this event in a moment again here. When it sees that the virtual machine is back up and running, it will give the information that it's powered on again. So that should be completed in a few seconds as well. For the VMware management pack, obviously there are a lot of other things that I could go across, like most important for our clients that are using this VMware management pack is the vSphere HA deployment, so that in case on a cluster VMs get restarted on the site, it actually alerts on those, plus any problems with the hardware and the ESXi host. So if the ESXi host basically run into a problem, then we want to have an alert for those. And for that, there is a separate monitoring. So we also go into sensors, into the hardware of the ESXi hardware, basically to monitor that. So that is part of the sensors and network adapters, log files, and all other things that are part of the host infrastructure. And I just saw there was another one that just came in like a bit
Yes.
delayed now, right? So
the operations manager detected that VM 101 had actually stopped running. So we've picked that up as alert, raised you a ticket of 903, and already executed the process, and it's gone back and you've restarted, and according to my system, we've actually just gone back to ServiceNow and marked the ticket as resolved.
Okay, great. Yeah, I see that is already gone, and the virtual machine is running again. So, yeah, I'll shut down. I have shut down a couple of them, so there might be other events coming in. But I think it might be interesting for everyone to see like what you're doing on these orchestrator side. So, do you want to give a quick overview of that?
Absolutely.
Okay,
so
great.
let me
So
share my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. So hopefully you can now see my screen. So what Christian has shown you is that the view you have from an operations manager point of the alerts being picked up, raised, and then incident ticket numbers are appearing, and then things are getting resolved. So let's just show you a little bit about how that magic is happening in the background. So for those of you who are not familiar, this is System Center Orchestrator. So this is the automation tooling that we're using for this particular scenario. And in here, there are things called runbooks. So we have runbooks that provide automated functions and actions on the behalf. So first one in here is Monitoring Operations Manager. I'm picking up those alerts, and what it does is drop them into a database table. So I've got a history of which alerts I've picked up, where they've gone to, and then how they've been processed. And what has been happening in the background while things have been running and Christian's been stopping things and then showing you what you see in Operations Manager is you can see multiple alerts have been picked up and dropped into this database table. As they came in quick succession, we've picked them up and we've processed them, and we've looked at the rules that have been defined for each of those things to work out what we should do with them. And what the automation has gone and done with those is pick them up. It has fired off, and it has gone and created a ServiceNow incident ticket, because that's the sample system that we're using as part of this demo process. But it could equally be any other service desk, so BMC, Helix ITSM, or Atlas in Jira, Easy Vista, SolarWinds, Service Desk, multiple tools that we can go and Service Desk we can go and interact with from that ticket creation and monitoring point of view. We've created an incident ticket. Then, having done that, we return that incident ticket back to Operations Manager. And then we have got a number of diagnostics actions that we want to perform. So based on the type of alert, you can build up rules which say which support team you want to raise tickets to, and then what diagnostics you want to run, and also what remediation activities we want to run. So we had the first one that Christian generated was a IIS web service failure. So we have an automation that says, when you see that type of alert, create an incident ticket, and then run this automation runbook that restarts the web server on the machine that failed. Equally, as we had just there with Christian, who got those 3 virtual machines to stop. This is the automation that ran in the background. So we have some information from VMware from the management pack on the name and other bits and pieces. To do things in VMware, you have to know the instance ID. So we're doing a bit of double check. So we grab the instance ID, make sure that they do a proactive validation. So is the VM truly still powered off? If it is powered off, then we start the virtual machine, and then make sure that we get the restart status. If that's all successful, we can complete that back out, which then pushes that update back in to the ticket, the ServiceNow ticket, to show that things have been completed. And ultimately, when Operations Manager detects that that has been resolved, We pick up that alert again, and we're then able to go back into the service desk and mark it as complete, as resolved. So some of these tickets that we generated, so we had in here, you can see one of the web server ticket numbers that weren't correct was 901. And one of the other ones that we generated for the VM down is 904. And if I do a quick refresh, you can see the state is that we've just picked up the fact that Operations Manager has been completed. If I do a refresh, we can see it's gone off and updated that. And in the meantime, another alert has been generated. We've picked up the fact there was a VM restarted by high availability. So we've created an instant ticket for it, but we don't have remediation. But if I go into the service,
that's actually very interesting alert. So because it's basically part of the cluster, because like I think one of was started on a cluster node, which had not insufficient resources. So basically it then moved it to another cluster node of the vSphere cluster and restarted it. So actually that's a quite important event, because like if you have an application and this application is restarted, it might run into some challenges, some issues, because it was hard shut down and restarted on other node. So that actually is an event that comes in and notifies like which VMs were restarted on which ESXi host.
Yep.
But sorry, I was interrupting you.
No. It's absolutely fine. It's a good use case to show you how we've got the infrastructure tools working in partnership with the automation. And we could have built functions into our automation runbook to actually do some of the validation before we restart the VMs as well. So that's something you can do, is to have more complicated remediations that go, where was the virtual machine when it was shut down? And then can we restart it on the ESX host or not? And then all of those sort of things Christian's saying is whether it's safe to restart a VM on a different node if it's full, or whether you need to pause. So we can do all of those sort of remediations within the automation. But here you can see the tickets. And if I do a refresh on this, because I noticed that is not currently up to date. We've got a whole load of tickets that have come in. So 901 was the one that we saw in Operations Manager, and through the database of this IS web service issue is unavailable. And what we've got in here is some information. So this was the initial update that came in to say we created this because of this alert that came in from Operations Manager, and we have an alert rule that says which team it should be associated to. And what you can see in here is it was assigned to the App Engines admin team within ServiceNow. Then there was a follow-up to say we have run the remediation of restart the web service, and the result was it was stopped. We've successfully restarted it, and then subsequently, because Operations Manager has detected that it was closed, we've come back in and say the alert was closed in SCOM, and it's been resolved, and therefore the instant ticket's been resolved. So you've got that full history in your service desk. And if we have a look at one of the ones that came in for that virtual machine, you'll see a very similar approach. Down here, we've got that alert that Christian generated with the VM has been powered off, and what happened to it, and which rule that we've run. So 103, which is the VM is not running. And we've got some diagnostics to run. The diagnostics we've done is it was powered off. We've executed a restart. It's now powered back on. So all of that would be in your ticket as we've done some remediation functions. Once SCOM has confirmed that issue has now been resolved and fixed, then we pick up the fact it was closed in SCOM, and then we can go back and resolve this incident ticket. So we've done that whole remediation and incident ticket update and management process without any human interaction required. So that's what we are talking about from an end-to-end automated remediation.
Yes, great. Yes, well, we have been working on that to prepare that demo for a while. So, but it's quite similar to some of the customers what we are seeing. So, there's a lot of integration done with the SQL database. So, and as well with other ticketing systems. So, yes, and with the integration packs that you provide, yeah, we basically also integrate with Microsoft Dynamics and others. I think you showed the slide earlier, right,
Yes.
Greg?
Yep.
And well, as I wasn't there for the first slide, Greg, if you could just go back for,
Yep.
and I just want to highlight quickly on the management packs from NiCE, which we are providing. So, because we have around like 200 customers worldwide, so NiCE has basically two locations. Like one is in California, in Cupertino, and one we have in Germany here where I'm located. So, and we've really been around since many years to develop these management packs. So, and I run a development team, and we have always an application specialist like that handles the application, like for VMware, for Citrix, or for Microsoft. This is all Graph API based, and a couple of developers who integrate then with System Center Operations Manager. So it's really the bread and butter business, core business to develop these management packs. And as we have such a large scale, they're really affordable at this point as well. So we don't want to make our management pack as expensive that they cannot be used. Yeah, we recently also extended, which is here in the heading, for Azure monitoring. So if you like, you can also do a quick overview of what we do with Azure Monitor and SCOM Managed Instance. Most of the data can also be brought into Azure Monitor and also used in Azure Arc. So that means like same things you have seen here for VMware. Let's say you have an on-prem VMware environment or even a hosted VMware environment. Through the API that can also be brought into other Azure-based log analytics workspaces, for example. But I just wanted to mention quickly the overview here. The latest we added, as I mentioned, is NetApp. It's not on here. It's like kind of brand new. But yeah, I just wanted to add this. And if there's any questions, please feel free to write them in the chat or let me know. I think you can just go back to the summary.
Absolutely.
I have a question for you. Sorry, I might have missed it because I was ordering pizza for the room, but for your ServiceNow connector, and maybe it's the same pattern for other ITSMs, but are you like, what's your trigger, right? Is it a trigger in ServiceNow when the incident's created, or are you pulling something from SCOM to identify new tickets you should care about?
So we are polling. So in this scenario, we're polling Operations Manager for new alerts.
Okay.
That should be ticket worthy. So the default is alert is marked as critical in Operations Manager. But I have got some customers who have defined specific information alerts that they also want incident tickets for. The classic one is a certificate is going to expire in 30 days. So they want a ticket in the service desk for that, and then they get a critical one 2 days before it expires.
Okay.
So we can do that from that point of view. But when it comes to ServiceNow, we can either take a trigger from ServiceNow to run automation, or we can actually monitor ServiceNow for tickets and actions that we want to operate on. So when I'm looking for resolved tickets, I can actually look at ServiceNow for resolved tickets and go back into Operations Manager to see whether the alert has been closed.
Okay.
And if it hasn't, I can then close the Operations Manager alert. So typically, the ones we've used in the demo were monitor alerts, so they will automatically close themselves when they detect that. But alert rules, the sort of trigger alerts in SCOM won't close themselves. So what we do is we can monitor ServiceNow for incident tickets that have been marked as resolved. And then we look at the database to see which SCOM alert was related to that. And then we can go back into SCOM and actually close the alert in SCOM so that your SCOM system is actually in step with your remediations.
Okay, thanks.
So as we can see from the summary, there's a wide range of management packs that we can add into SCOM and obviously into, as Christian was saying, around SCOM managed instances and Azure Monitor to give you that breadth of monitoring capability. You've seen and we've demonstrated that seamless integration between System Center, Orchestrator, and Operations Manager. When we start looking at SCOM MI and Azure Monitor, then we can bring in Azure Automation to do exactly what we've just done with Orchestrator, but in a cloud-hosted automation environment. We've got multiple integrations that support connectivity in Orchestrator. All the ones you've seen in Orchestrator, I can do in Azure Automation. So same solution, cloud-hosted or on-prem, whichever is your current environment, or as Christian has mentioned, we can guide you and support you through any hybrid monitoring scenarios so that you can use the best-in-class monitoring and automation to give you that return on investment and capitalize your System Center capabilities and save yourself time and effort with doing everything manually.
I can just say, yeah, that's what we do, because last week we actually helped a customer here in Europe to actually completed that journey for ticket integration, and with the solution Caverion provides is so smooth out of the box. It basically is like kind of a turnkey solution instead of like designing a lot of runbooks on that side.
So I think from our side, from Christian Arts, we thank you for listening to us, and we'll open it up to any other questions.